You know, you guys, thanks so much for coming out so early and you know, making the trek all the way downtown. We recognize that, you know, West Siders don't really like coming east, so this is very special. So yeah, I'm Brent. This is Eric. We've been working together for a long time. We actually met at this sort of just like nerd drink up night, you know, and we both had day jobs that we were sort of unfulfilled with, and just wanted something fun to do nights and weekends. And so we started building interactive art. And we, you know, no profit motive. We just wanted something fun to work on. And so the title of this is about learning for fun. And the reason we kind of took this tack is it really has sort of influenced everything we've built together ever since. And typography. We had some font problems. Yeah. All right. So Eric, you want to talk a little bit about our first project?
So Brent and I met and decided to work on a crazy art project. We had no idea exactly what we were going to do, but we definitely stayed in my loft for like 48 hours and didn't sleep building this thing. It's an interactive whiteboard, and it's still hanging up, I think, in your old spot. And the idea behind this project is that you would walk up to this whiteboard and you would draw on it with an ordinary whiteboard pen. And a camera was examining that whiteboard and figuring out what you had drawn and putting it into a physics simulation. And then a projector would project objects back onto that whiteboard, which would then start to bounce off of what you had drawn. So you were creating this little, like, Line Rider-esque world for objects to bounce around on. Now, Line Rider wasn't around yet. You couldn't do this stuff on your iPad. I don't think iPads were there yet either. And people would walk up to this object at events, and they'd start making their own games on the whiteboard, because all of a sudden they had this interactive surface. So what was the first thing they did? Okay, the first thing they did was draw a penis. The second thing they did was try and figure out how to have fun with it and make it into a game. And it got us thinking, like, huh, interactive art, games. What direction is this going?
Well, and so we, you know, enough people liked it. We set out to sort of challenge ourselves. We'd make one new thing a month. So next we built. God, I wish that this was a better projector. But this is a 6-player game table. 6 people stand around with just a classic, regular arcade game and play, you know, 3-on-3 Pong, a light cycle game, whatnot. But this was really special, right? Because 6 people, you come to a party or an event in groups of 2 or 4. 6 sort of guarantees you're meeting somebody new, and it's not like awkward. Hey, can I buy you a drink? It's, oh my God, I'm gonna fucking kill you next time, you know? And so that's really a good, you know, that's a nice social interaction. And, you know, for me, it's freaking crushing that we call a social game something that you can play by yourself in your basement, you know, sort of connected to like a million other people, but what? You know, it just didn't make any sense. So, okay, Eric, what's this next one that they can't see at all?
Yeah, so social games to us are games that you really engage with your fellow player in. This is a game we built several years ago called Untitled Asteroids Game. Untitled Space Game. Untitled Space Game, yeah, Untitled Space Game. The idea here was that we wanted to make an experience that made you feel like you were actually in a spaceship shooting at asteroids in space.
Think like Rock Band for Space Battle.
Rock Band for Space Battle. So you'd sit down in two teams of 3. You'd sit down at these spaceship control centers. One person was the pilot, one person was the navigator, and one person was the gunner. And each of you was playing a different role with a different interface, looking at different screens, pointing in different directions, but really engaged in the same task.
So the pilot changed the ship around, and the gunner has sort of a turret that they're controlling. So as the pilot shifts it around, you know, and you basically, red versus blue, you're trying to destroy the other person's space station.
Difficult to play, but totally proved our thesis that if you can get people into a space together where they can sort of like push each other out of the way while they're playing, it makes every game more fun. Like you can really have a lot of fun playing ordinary games and adding a little bit of interaction, like physical interaction, you know?
So this one didn't work at all. This is our room full of laser beams, and I joke because actually Eric met his fiancée in this game. Yeah, so room full of laser beams. Like think about just regular freaking laser pointers that you would use in your in your presentation. Fill a room full of fog, bounce lasers off the mirrors, and now it's Mission Impossible, right? You got to get across the laser beams without breaking one. You break a beam, a buzzer goes off, you lose time, points, whatever.
I just got to say that do you want to play in a laser maze is a fantastic pickup line.
And so, and the amazing thing is it doesn't matter the age, right? We would take this to kids' parties, no brainer, but we take it to adult places, and you'd have girls in tight dresses and high heels, and they'd kick them off and be commando rolling across the floor. Yeah. So, the real social, simple stuff gets you back like using your body again. What's this?
Yeah, this is Versix. We did this rather recently. We've started to combine projects into larger experiences. So how can we take experiences, interactive games and social games like the ones we've been showing you so far, and combine them to create more lengthy, immersive experiences that actually tell a story? So this is the Versix project. This is one room of 4, and in each room of this, 4,000 square foot facility, in each of the 4 rooms, you encounter a different game, and you're guided, pipelined, in a team of 6 people through these rooms by video screens that tell you a story and sort of run you through this interactive adventure that can take up to 30 minutes. And so we've now gotten to the point where we can mix and match these interesting games and tie them together with story and tie them together with narrative and come up with an experience that is not only fun to play, but totally hooks you, and by the way, people are willing to pay for. So this particular installation is about 30 minutes of entertainment in a family-friendly hotel in Grand Mound, Washington, sort of halfway between Portland and Seattle. And it's fun. It's really fun to play. There's tons of different games. There's 5 or 6 different games in there.
And there's an interesting thing. You look at the trend in entertainment, right? You've got this increasing immersion, right? A book you read and you do all the imagining. A movie, that's a lot of that's done for you, but you're still sort of this passive observer. A video game, you get a little bit of control now, but your control interface is your thumbs. A Kinect and a Wii start to get you a little closer to being the character. But what happens when you jump off the screen? Like, what's the next step right after the video game? And for us, it's you're the character, the full-blown character, right? The game. If you ever saw that movie with whatever his name was, Michael Douglas, where he literally has to get drugged and dropped in Mexico. And now that's maybe a little extreme, but you can imagine how kind of fun that style of entertainment could be. So this is one of those where you maybe not the drug part, but where you get to be a spy in a spy adventure. So we've kind of had this thread that we've been talking about immersive entertainment, and there's another thread that we want to kind of stitch together here around the learning side. And so we're going to rewind back to when it was still nerd club days, and we were it was a drinking club, and we were just experimenting with stuff. This rock band found out about this hacker drinking club and said, "Hey, you guys want to help us make a music video?" And so we said, "Wow, yeah. Fuck yeah, a music video, that sounds great." And so if you guys ever heard of the guys OK Go that do the treadmill video, where they're all dancing around? Okay, so they said, "Hey, we want to be able to dance with a machine." And so we all thought about it for a little while, and we're like, God, dance with a machine, that's kind of weird. What about a Rube Goldberg machine? And this is the one where a bowling ball hits a cat screams, pops a balloon, whatever. And so we ended up building this huge Rube Goldberg machine that started like this and ended like this. And it was all the while covered this huge 40,000 square foot building and was just ridiculous and a total pain in the butt to build. But what happened was we got all these messages from science teachers, and they all said, wow, thank you so much. We did, our whole science class just built a Rube Goldberg machine, and we learned all about physics, and we had this blast, and it was really inspiring, and we were like, wow, we made a music video, and it was a teaching tool? Like, what? And then we kind of took a left turn and ended up, for a brief stint, as the on-camera inventors for the TV show Extreme Makeover Home Edition, which... we were like, what's that show? And they were like, hey, here's these DVDs. Watch these before you meet anybody else.
Actually, it wasn't entirely a left turn, because at that point we were already starting to realize that, teachers and kids in school were being inspired by what we were doing, making music videos, making other awesome high-tech things, and working on Extreme Makeover Home Edition and using the same technology we were already building to help people in need. We were starting to figure out alternative ways of bringing what we were building to the world that didn't involve just setting them up in art galleries and seeing if people found them fun.
So again, yeah. Do you want to?
I got to tell you about this project, because this was totally fun. This is our puppet show, and we built this puppet show, which was basically a projected display screen, and on that display screen would appear characters. And then this little girl had these custom-made puppet controllers that she could go like this, beep, 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 move her hands. She could turn them back and forth, and on the screen, the puppet faces would do whatever she did with her puppet controllers. So if she opened the mouth of the puppet controller, the face on the screen would open its mouth. And if she closed the puppet mouth, the mouth on the screen would close its mouth. If she turned, it would turn. If she turned, it would turn. And the characters that we chose were her family. So she could sit there and have her mom talk to her dad and have her dad yell at her younger brother. And it was fun. Anyway, it was ridiculously high tech. We packed Arduinos and radios and compasses and servos and all sorts of crazy bullshit into a very tiny little package so this girl could make a puppet show on TV.
All right, and an interesting thing happened, because we started to go to schools and we'd tell them about these crazy projects, right? And we're nerds, right? He's a roboticist, I'm a computer scientist, like we were, and we own it, right? We love the fact that we're nerds. And yet all the kids in middle school and high school today, they think being a nerd is bad, right? They still think that like the cool person is a jock and all these other sorts of things that we don't understand. And you get in front of a bunch of kids and you talk about lasers and robots and all this neat stuff, and then you end with, well, the price of admission's engineering. And lo and behold, it kind of worked. Like the kids would be like, "Wow, no way, really? That sounds really interesting. I want to do that. That's fascinating." And so we earlier this year we were kind of scratching our heads. We were like, "Wow, okay, so this immersive entertainment stuff is really fun. All this high tech amusement, and then these sort of wacky projects are stuff that kids can really sink their teeth into." Sort of mucks that with the fact that America's got a real problem when it comes to STEM, right? If you know those terms, science, technology, engineering, math, right? Not only do we graduate like a third of our kids into those careers compared to China and Japan, which is like double that, our kids are terrible at this stuff. I mean, we used to be #1, we're like 48 now or something? I don't know. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And so there's this monster gap between the amount of people that we're going to graduate into engineering degrees and the amount of engineering jobs that there are available, right? Huge gap. Way more jobs than talented people to do them. In fact, we had an impossible time finding enough JavaScript people just to help perform on all the stuff that we did. So we're scratching our heads. We're like, God, how can we slam these two things together? And so the beginning of this year, we think we got a solution. And it's called STEAM Carnival. And so STEAM Carnival is science, technology, engineering, art, and math, right? STEM plus art, because we kind of feel like art was the thing that really got us really excited about engineering again. It was the thing that really, there's that fundamental creative component, right? Engineering is a creative exercise. So STEAM Carnival is a modern traveling carnival. Not online, not something you play on your iPad. This is a physical event, a traveling physical event, huge physical event, tons of games, high-tech amusement, the kind of stuff we've been building for years, as well as a stage show for kids to showcase their own projects in science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So we have this video we did, which there's no audio for, but you can find it online, that it was filmed in this space, and it was a quick 1-minute video of all of, just to sort of like give a little taste of what this carnival could look like. So some of the stats around STEM, a quick rendering we did of what that would look like. And so those two components, right? All the high-tech amusement, and then the kits. And so the formula looks like this. So day one, we deploy one of our people to a city. They go around to 5 or 10 schools, and they train up a local administrator on how to develop, how to administer our curriculum. Basically an after-school program, 10 weeks long. The kids get to build their own thing. Now, we wanted to leverage stuff the kids already like: music, fashion, games, sports. And then we sort of hijack that and insert the engineering inside of it. So we've got a kit that is wearable electronics. We've got a kit for musical robots. And so the kids work on their stuff, all the while knowing that at the end of the 10 weeks, the carnival's going to come to town and they're going to get to showcase their stuff. Now, what we really didn't want was another baking soda and vinegar volcano, right? Oh my God. Terrible. So it's got to be fun, right? In fact, if all of us go and we don't have kids in the show, it should still be entertaining, right? So there's the two sides, right? There's all the high-tech amusement, and then the stage show, well, a whole bunch of kids with wearable electronics projects, that's a fashion show, right? A whole bunch of kids with musical robot projects, that's a concert, right? So even if we don't have kids in the program, it should still be fun to watch. And most schools don't have a bunch of science and tech experience, so we've organized a big network of mentors from GE and the Children's Hospital. We're in talks with a bunch of others where their engineers then provide assistance to the kids and can answer questions and do video lessons and all that kind of stuff. So we've built the kits just like video games. They kind of scale up in complexity with the kids' understanding. So let's talk about a few more games that we're going to do here. Eric, what is this kid doing?
What is that kid doing? Oh, there it is. So let me tell you a little bit about some of the games we've already developed for this carnival. We've been building and testing these games now for 18 months or so, bringing them to events and making sure they're fun. Turns out they're fun.
Most of them.
Most of them are fun. Well, I'll tell you about the failures in a second. This one, totally fun. This one is Asteroids. You guys remember Asteroids? Yeah, I loved Asteroids. You ride around the screen, a little vector asteroid guy shooting asteroids. No, you were a ship shooting asteroids. So here's how we built this. We mounted a laser projector high in the air and projected the game on the floor using lasers. We love lasers around here, by the way. And the way you would play is by sitting in your office chair. And wherever you roll around the floor, the ship follows you. It's always right between your legs, projected on the floor at your feet. And you're holding a little remote control in your hand, and when you push the button, it shoots at the asteroids. So you're rolling around, looking for asteroids and destroying them. Oh man, it's fun. So version 2 of this, which is coming out soon, involves a wheelchair. The problem with using a wheelchair in this capacity is that you lose the use of your hands to push the fire button. So of course we need a way to allow you to fire. So we're going to use a microphone. You go pew, 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 and every time you make the pew noise, it shoots. So that's this game. What's next? What?
That's awesome. I haven't heard that. That's a good idea.
You're busy coming up with carnival ideas, man. I'm making the games down here. What's this? Oh, this is our digital skee ball. One thing we like to do here is take classic games and change their scale. Now, skee ball was already a big game, but it uses these tiny little. That's boring, right? So we took 36-inch circus balls and made a digital version of skee ball. In order to play this game, and this is mostly simulated, it's mostly played on that projector screen. In order to interact with this game, you actually walk up to this giant 36-inch ball, which is, we call it the world's largest trackball. We have a couple of them lying around here. They're back there. Totally fun. Best part is when a 36-inch child walks up to a 36-inch trackball and tries to play skee ball. They are clearly having the time of their lives. We got next. This is our spinning button wall twister. We have a couple versions of this game because God knows we've built this thing about a dozen times. The goal of this game is to hit the colored lights as quickly as possible. So it's red versus green, I think, in this red versus blue in this case. 2 red lights are going to go on, 2 blue lights are going to go on. The red team has to hit both red lights, the blue person has to hit both blue lights. And when you hit your lights, more lights appear. It just goes like this forever. It continues to be fun the entire time. I promise.
You end up with, like, it's like a mashup between whack-a-mole and Twister. So at a certain point, it's like 4 buttons. And I'm like, we got my head and trying to execute this like crazy combination. We've got another one back there. You should play it before you leave.
Yeah, absolutely. The trick about this one is that these buttons are mounted on spinning gears. And so if you see your opponent going for a really tricky combination, you just take your gear, spin it really hard, and all their buttons change configuration, which is totally...
So we loved that in theory, and the problem is it's not so good for fingers, small digits that get caught in the gears, and so you kind of have to build them to figure that out. The version you'll see back there doesn't have the spinning part anymore. Okay, so there's if we rebound back to the carnival, right? You've got all this high-tech amusement, and you got this showcase for the kids doing their stuff, right? So the kids, they get the reward of playing all the games. They've just done their presentation, and now my favorite part. Right, we pull back the curtain and we show them that the same components that are in the games is the same stuff that's in their kits. So not only do they get to sort of build all this fun stuff, they get to now see, wow, they can do all these other things with that same tech. So this is, I think, a real important component. We show them exactly all the wiring diagrams, all the kind of tools that we use in order to pull this off. So this is the program that deploys into each place. The only thing, there's the kits. We've got this one VIP launch gala that happens a couple days before the event. Sponsors love this because, if you're Time Warner Cable, you can, you've got all your different demographics. You might want to sell business services to the business people. So that's the VIP event. You've got your stuff for general consumers, and then there's the night party which is more sort of millennials and whatnot. Lots of stuff that's happened as a result of it, whatever, and it worked. So that's it. First carnival will be spring of 2014. We're basically doing tons of events and parties between now and then, testing all this stuff and bringing the kits out to Maker Faire and Girl Scouts and all that, so that by the time we actually deploy this thing, it will be assured a good time. You have anything else?
I got nothing else.
So thanks a lot, you guys, for your attention.